So the question is, do you need to be an expert at something? Do you need to have technical knowledge to, for instance, start a food company? Or the question that I'm going to be answering here specifically is about an energy drink. She's not an expert on this. She doesn't have any technical knowledge on this. And my answer on this is absolutely no. You do not need to be an expert. You do not need to have a bunch of technical knowledge. The way I like to think about this is you have more information, more knowledge at your fingertips than anybody did 20 years ago, 30 years ago. So my suggestion is start Googling, start doing research, start figuring out, or you can always hire the experts. They are cheaper than you would think they would be. So if, for instance, let's say you're trying to do an energy drink, there are companies that specifically are designed around creating that kind of stuff. You can also do your own research and figure out, what are people making? How are people giving themselves energy? Maybe you find some kind of herbs or some kind of supplements that are off the beaten path. Actually, that's what I 100% would do, is figure out what are those things that the really nerdy people in your space are interested in, especially if it's food or nutrition. One of the ideas for a new project I'm thinking about launching is partnering with an influencer and trying to ask what's the leading stuff and then creating a supplement brand around it. One of the things that I think is really funny that she references in this is my friend, someone that's in the course, Mina, and he has a chemical engineering degree. And she says, well, I can't start a food company because I'm not an expert and I don't have technical knowledge like Mina. Mina didn't use any of his chemical engineering knowledge in launching this product. He just did some Google searching about electrolytes. Like nutrition and chemical engineering are very, very different. Same thing with me. If you've seen some of my videos, I had a degree in biomedical engineering. And that sounds really cool. And it sounds like, oh, well, that's a good reason I should start Performance Nut Butter. Nothing that I learned from my biomedical engineering degree had anything to do with Performance Nut Butter. The only way I learned about how to formulate Performance Nut Butter was, one, doing a little bit of research on my own in Google and figuring out what nuts are the healthiest, what nuts have the best fatty acid profiles. And then two, and this is my second part of the answer for this, making some samples, test it, see if it tastes good. And the thing that I noticed with my product is macadamia nuts always make things taste better. They're also premium. They also are delicious and they have high quality fat. And so all those things came together. I'm like, all right, well, it needs to be macadamia nut heavy. Another good example of this is actually Ariana with Vino Cards. She did not know a lot about wine when she first started. And she was nervous. She's like, well, I don't know a lot about wine. How am I going to do this? And I said, Google it. Learn everything online. Every single piece of information you can Google. Cabernet Sauvignon. What region is it from? What flavors does it have? I had one student, and she's been on the channel actually as well. Her name's Carla. She has an herbal tea blend for helping people with autoimmune disease. And she really fought me on this. She's like, I am not an expert. I don't know what I'm doing. Even though she came to me and she said, here's the exact formula I want to use. But so what she ended up doing is she ended up paying a herbalist for $1,000, I think around there, to tell her what ingredients. I could be wrong, and I'm sure she would disagree with me. My guess is that the herbalist basically said, those ingredients you were thinking about are good. Maybe the herbalist added some other things in there, sure. But I think this kind of leads to a big thing is trust yourself, trust that you have the knowledge, and trust that if you do some research, you become an expert. The shift that's happening is people are realizing you don't need to go to college for 4 years to become an expert on something. In fact, every single person in this course, my goal with this course is to give you more of an education than you would from an MBA program. And obviously it's a different type of education, but more applicable, more valuable than a formal education, formal course would be. So my advice is trust yourself, do some research, do some testing. And if you still feel like it's not good enough, hire some kind of an expert.